Iran is trying to expand the war in the Gulf region on the justification that all these countries whom he's attacking are the ones who are supporting the US war effort. President Trump wants a coalition which can actually ensure freedom of navigation within the Strait of Hormuz. The oil prices shoot up, then the LPG prices shoot up, then there is a global energy crisis, and that's what is currently taking place. All these countries in the Gulf region will remember what Iran did to them in this war, where they did not instigate the war. They have bombarded the nuclear sites, they have bombarded the IRGC sites, they have bombarded the air defense, they have bombarded everything. But the regime per se, even if it's decentralized, it's still holding. Asia, particularly countries which rely on the Strait of Hormuz, which rely on the Gulf region for their oil and energy security, they have been collateral damage.
Sir, there have also been reports about how there could be American boots on the ground. What do we know about this? Do you think in the future we're going to be seeing Gulf nations cozying up to China and Russia? Hello and a very warm welcome to all. You're watching Hindustan Times and my name is Aayesha Varma. On this segment of Point Blank, we take a look at how the Strait of Hormuz has become the focal point of the war and much more. Joining us is HT's executive editor, Mr. Shishir Gupta. Sir, namaskar. Sir, it's been 17 days of massive precision strikes, drone strikes, missile strikes. Do you think that Trump's plan of collapsing the regime will work in Iran? Has it taken place? What about the larger picture of the Middle East as a whole as well? What is happening there?
See, there are three players in this game. There is US-Israel, there is Iran, and then there is the Middle East, the Gulf region. And all three are impacted by the war. Now, currently what has happened is that the war right now, the focal point is the Strait of Hormuz, right? Now, what has happened is that, Iran is trying to expand the war in the Gulf region on the justification that all these countries whom he's attacking are the ones who are supporting the US war effort, like UAE, like Jordan, like Bahrain, like Kuwait, like Iraq, like Saudi Arabia. Now, what has happened is, so he's targeting that and he's making them the collateral damage. So on the second hand, he's targeting shipping within the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that's a critical area because that impacts the global security. And that is what the focal point right now of the entire war is. Now, President Trump wants a coalition which can actually ensure freedom of navigation within the Strait of Hormuz. Now, that being said, Iran is continuing to fire despite 17 days of war. That means it still has the missile arsenal, it still has the drone arsenal with it. Now, what is complicating the entire thing is that the Strait of Hormuz particularly is, at one point is only 33 kilometers wide. And add to it the channel, which is the navigable channel, would be something like 20 kilometers at best. I mean, if you talk to the naval experts, they will tell you that much. Now, that means it has that area to target only to ensure that the oil shipping does not go through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, if that is the case, then the oil prices shoot up, then the LPG prices shoot up, then there is a global energy crisis, and that's what is currently taking place. Now, Iran is talking that it will allow shipping of all countries apart from US and Israel. But that is still to be seen on ground. They are saying that, but it is still to be seen on ground because hardly any ships have passed through the Strait of Hormuz. Now, they are not allowing naval escort. They are only allowing the ships to go. The captains of the ship and the crew of the ship don't feel safe. So it's a very complicated situation that is developing in that region. And on top of that, the regime, that is the Iranian regime, doesn't seem to be collapsing as of now. So it's a really a complicated situation where you have war, where you have global energy crisis, and then there is Middle East. Middle East, what has happened is that the Gulf region, these people have been made collateral damage of this war. Now, they they were only defending themselves. They have not used any offensive capabilities because really they do not have that kind of offensive capability. But that being said, all these countries in the Gulf region will remember what Iran did to them in this war, where they did not instigate the war. So it's a really a complex situation. It is a very fluid situation and it can go either way. The only thing being that if the freedom of navigation does not take place within the Strait of Hormuz, there is going to be a global energy crisis. And that's not only going to impact India, it's going to impact every country in the world. It's going to make life very costly all over the place, including the US, including China, and all over the world.
Sir, there have also been reports about how there could be American boots on the ground. What do we know about this?
What has happened is that the US amphibious assault ship, USS Tripoli, is bound from Indo-Pacific to the Middle East. Now, this is carrying about 2,500 Marines on board, and it's headed towards the Persian Gulf. Now, there could be two reasons for that. One would be to secure the coastline as far as the Strait of Hormuz is concerned. So ensure that the Iranians do not or are neutralized if they are trying to attack the ships going through. Or this could be a part of a larger effort where these people would be going into Iran and joining hands with other detractors of the current IRGC regime. So it's a open game right now. But what you can really see is they have bombarded Iran. They have bombarded the nuclear sites. They have bombarded the IRGC sites. They have bombarded the air defense. They have bombarded everything. But the regime per se, even if it's decentralized, it's still holding. You still see people over there who are talking. Now, ultimately, if you have to go for a regime change, you have to have either overt or covert forces on ground to ensure then that the detractors actually are pushed and they are force multiplied too. So that is one part of it. Let me tell you something different. You go way back to operation in Afghanistan, that was Enduring Freedom, when the Americans went after Taliban post 9/11. I mean, they bombarded the area, but they only achieved success or occupied Afghanistan once they had the boots on the ground with the detractors, that is being the Northern Alliance that time. Then, once that happened, they used the then Afghan king Zahir Shah to install a friendly regime within Afghanistan and in Kabul. Just if you replicate that model in Iran, maybe you will have some answers to that question.
So the United States has always been seen as a security guarantor of the Middle East, but now with what's taken place with the Iran war, that reputation, that image has taken a massive hit. Because of this, do you think in the future we're going to be seeing Gulf nations cozying up to China and Russia?
Now, let me answer this question the other way around. I mean, last year you had a China-sponsored, some sort of a détente between Iran and Saudi Arabia. Where has it gone? It's all been blown to pieces. You see Russia and China providing military supplies to Iran, but have they intervened or have they been able to do something about it? I don't think so. Yes, what you're seeing is that US has been over the decades seen as a security guarantor for the Middle East, and it has done its bit for that. Now, what you're essentially seeing is that US is going out all alone. He is not using some sort of a coalition or something. I mean, now he's talking about a coalition for Straits of Hormuz, but before that he went alone with Israel on the side. And so in a way, it's going out alone. It is also providing defensive capability to all the Gulf states. Mind you, I mean, all the Patriot systems, all the, the anti-missile defense is being provided by US. So it's very easy to say that the US is no longer going to be a security guarantor and they can actually start looking at Russia and China. I mean, what have the Chinese anti-air defense system done? Nothing. Not in Venezuela, not in Iran. I mean, these guys have been pulverized in every way possible. So to say that Iran, US its image is going to take a hit, its image is going to take a hit if the regime not only survives but thrives and continues to build weapons, which I don't think so is the case. So US also knows this and it will relentlessly attack Iran to ensure that it has some sort of a regime change or some sort of a different dispensation ruling that place, like Venezuela. So Gulf also per se doesn't have much options left. I mean, it's been talking, UAE has been talking to China, Saudi Arabia has been talking to China, both talk to Russia. All these countries have been talking to each other and for their own survival stake and for their own best interest. But US will continue to be the big player in the Middle East, considering that Iran has done its worst to attack all these Gulf countries. So nobody is going to forget that. And they may not attack Iran overtly, but covertly, they definitely would be very angry with Iran.
So one key fact that is known is that about 80% of the oil that goes through the Strait of Hormuz essentially does go to Asia. Do you see this as an indirect attack by any chance by America and Israel on Asia? Is that one aspect of what this conflict could be about?
This is one theory where, where people say that China was getting oil from Iran and from Venezuela. President Trump first took down Venezuela, now has taken down Iran. So is the real, enemy China? I'm not too sure about that because what has happened is, see, you have to look at this picture in a very different way. For the past 47 years minimum, Iranians have been talking about death to US, death to Israel. They have been constantly at loggerheads with each other. Now, just think about it. Somebody who was born during Iranian Revolution of 1979 is today 46 years old. Somebody who was 10-year-old who do not know is now 56 years old. So you have an entire lifespan of people who have heard nothing else except death to Israel, death to US. So the issue over here also is that if Iran had acquired a nuclear weapon, it is very much clear that they would have targeted Israel because they've openly been saying so, that if they get an opportunity, they will decimate, they will eradicate, and they'll wipe off Israel off the map. So there is a genuine threat in that. Now, so the only time when you could have actually eradicated the threat was because there was some protest going on within, and then you saw that there was an opportunity because all the proxies of Iran were also down, like Houthis are currently down. There is hardly any retaliation. Hezbollah is on, Hamas is on, but then these people have been really militarily degraded by continuous action from US and by Israel. Now, so in purely military terms, it was an opportunity for them. But what has happened is that in all this, Asia, particularly countries which rely on the Strait of Hormuz, which rely on the Gulf region for their oil and energy security, they have been collateral damage. So it is not to say that actually US attacked Iran because it wanted to hit at China and Russia. It's not to say they attacked Iran to hit at India because the supplies come from the Gulf region, not from Iran. That is very simplistic. I think they are more of a collateral damage. But then everybody knows that had Iran developed a nuclear weapon, Iran was continuously developing the ballistic missile capability, constantly developing the drone capability. Had that happened, then things would have been much more serious. So it's again, as I said, that it's really a situation where you have to believe the side in which you are on, because everybody has a justification to something or the other.
So beyond this, where does this entire situation leave India, where a possible energy crisis is concerned?
See, Indian ships, Iranians, after Prime Minister Narendra Modi spoke to the Iranian president, Masoud Pezeshkian, and the Indian Foreign Minister S. Jaishankar spoke to his counterpart Arghachi. The Iranians have shown some leverage where they will allow Indian tankers to go through. In fact, 4 of them or 5 of them have gone through. So right now, what I get is that the Indian flagged and Indian owned tankers will go through. It cannot be foreign flagged and India bound tankers will be allowed to go through. But what you are seeing also is that, you are not seeing that the tankers are moving. They are taking their own time. And you don't see that, the entire the order or the direction which is given from Tehran being implemented on ground in the Straits of Hormuz. So it's a precarious situation. India is currently, the crude oil prices are $100 plus right now. There is an issue of LPG, but you will see possibly a ship landing today in Kandla, which is going to give LPG tanker. Shivalik is landing. And you will see that, India is trying its utmost, the government is trying its utmost to get the crude oil and everything. It's trying to get through Russia, trying to get through, whichever way, non-Gulf states, it is possible to get all this. And they have been successful also in getting it. But to say that, there is nothing happening, there is a global energy crisis caused by this war. And the sooner the freedom of navigation is allowed within the Strait of Hormuz, the better it is for people to, to go to their jobs back. Otherwise, everybody will be focused on this war.
So, do you think that we're seeing a never-ending war? Because over the weekend, the United States President Donald Trump also issued a remark saying that there would be fresh strikes on Iran's Kharg Island just for fun.
See, I would not take that statement of President Donald Trump very seriously, because he makes a lot of off-the-cuff remarks. And it is not that he makes, he's trying to make a fun out of the entire thing. That's his style of saying. He's been saying a lot of things since he has taken over. He basically does, locker talk on the right in front of the media. But the fact remains is, it cannot be a never-ending war. Let's be very clear on this, because there is a limit to which Iran can take the punishment. There is a limit to which US and Israel can deliver. And there is a limit to which Gulf can take all this and the world can take all this. Because ultimately, people will stand up and say that if this is what's happening, then they are out of it. So right now, the focus would more be like this. It would be sort of allowing the freedom of navigation within the Strait of Hormuz. He has attacked Kharg Island to ensure that the military installations over there are not used to attack ships that are coming within the Strait of Hormuz. He is trying to ensure that, the people can evacuate oil, LPG, LNG from this area. But there is a caveat in this. The caveat is that Iran has shown its ballistic missiles, it has shown its drone capability. But geographically, the way Iran is located on the Strait of Hormuz and on the Persian Gulf, it's very difficult to take it down, because it will use all asymmetric threat to ensure that the shipping does not go, and that there is continuous pressure both on US and Israel to stop the war and come to the table on Iranian terms. Now, he's hitting at the Gulf countries, which in turn tell the Americans that, listen, it's about time that you decided to call this off, because we are taking the hit. So the point is here is that, everybody is trying to get a leg up in this entire thing, but to say that it's going to be a never-ending war, no, that is not the case. Because clearly Iranian military capability has been severely degraded, possibly decimated. It does not have air defenses, it does not have anything. It's just retaliating on its own without a central command and control network. So what you see is is, possibly a strike which is covered by everybody. But what you don't see is what has happened within Iran. And that is something that has to be taken care of. And the other thing is that, if you think that the population of Iran is going to get up and start talking against the regime, it's not going to be that easy, because normally when you are attacked, people tend to join hands together, and then the entire, the system of nationalism plays out. So it's a very weird situation, but as long as the top leadership is decimated and the people themselves want a change over there, this is going to be a war which depends on whether the Iranian regime collapses or not. Now, that is actually a $1 million question, because there is hardly any transparency of that battle theater to understand. You see people over there, but you have heard a statement from Mojtaba Khomeini, but you have not seen the leader. I mean, where is he? Where is the supreme leader, the new supreme leader? You see a bunch of people who are there on the streets, but these are people who represent the regime. The IRGC is there, but how badly has it been hurt, we do not know. But everything depends on how soon and how fast the regime collapses. Now, there are many takers who say the regime will not collapse because it's a civilization of years and years, but there is a limit to which that these people can take the punishment. So it's not so easy to say, but to say that's never ending, no, it's not. There's going to be a definite solution to the war within this month, I think so.
So thank you so much for joining us and bringing us all of that crucial insight so that we can better understand what's taking place with the Iran war, with the larger picture of the Middle East, and with the US and Israeli attack. Now, with that, it's a wrap. Do stay tuned, and stay tuned for next week's segment of Point Blank.